Today I'm drawing rats. Hopefully, 10 of them. Likely, 5 of them. But rats, I must draw. And while I'm drawing them, I figured I would talk a little bit about why I'm doing it, who I am, and the joys of recovering from an injury. So let's get started. I'm just going to draw a little square. As you can tell, probably, this is not very good. I'm very amateurish. I am not an expert at recording or drawing or really orating. I've always said that I am a nervous speaker and I stumble over my words. But I figured I would give it a try because the purpose of this project is, we'll call it honesty. I think, broad strokes, what I want to do is make RPGs. I want to run games. I want to make games that are fun to play, that excite me, that are cool and unique, and hopefully have some degree of appeal, right? Like, I think that's the dream. We'll see if that's something I'm capable of. No, he needs to be fatter. He needs to be a lot fatter. Ooh, this also needs to be smaller. But I've been running and playing RPGs for about 7 years now. I started right before COVID, and that was probably a bad time to start, all things considered. And I was very sad to see my first group go the way of the dodo bird. But it led me down a so far pretty lifelong journey of joy and community and storytelling, and also fantasy and silly little worlds and characters and people. And I wanted to be, in a larger way, more involved in that process. I wanted to, as I think most people do, fix the games that I was playing and make them more my speed. I wanted to make my own content for those games, as I think, again, most people do. And I wanted them to be exciting and fun, right? Fun being the most important part. How big are you? You need to be smaller. And, you know, there's an expression that maybe you don't often hear this, but I've certainly heard it, that if you want to make a lot of money publishing RPG content, you start with a lot of money and then lose it publishing. But, you know, we live in an interesting time, for better or for worse. And we have a maybe not an opportunity, but just this wealth of knowledge and this breadth of accessibility when it comes to storytelling and online community. And I wanted to have a degree of, I think, like, honesty about what it means to transition from running games to making games to publishing games. I've looked for other people doing things like this. There are certainly people out there who are far better than I am, much more experience, much more polished, exciting content. But a big part of who I am, generally, in my personal life, in my life doing these things, is, well, I don't even know what the right word would be to describe it. It's, I think, silly and a little campy, and perhaps scrappy is the best word. I think this rat is going to be a shade of, we'll go for brown. I feel like brown would be nice. I feel like that's orange, and we get little down here towards the brown. Let's go a little darker. Can we desaturate that? It's a little poopy. That's not much better, but we'll go for it. What was I saying? Honesty. I have, I think, always wanted to pursue or demonstrate the pursuit of life in a way that is personal to me, and that has always felt outside the boundaries of convention, and that has made me feel doubtful and unfit and often very stupid. But it has always been honest, I think. And I think that's very important. I think it's really, like, it's often underlooked, or not underlooked, overlooked how frustrating and endless the pursuit for excellence is. And I felt that drive. I feel like I'm getting a little maudlin. But I'm going to let it stand. I could edit that out, but I'm not going to. It's very... The thing they don't really tell you about running these kinds of games and these kinds of, like, RPGs experiences is how frightening it is. Is this too poop colored? Fuck. It might be. I don't know if I can swear. I'm going to. Damn. No, I think he's nice. He's a nice little shade of brown. And he's very cute. He is very cute. Let's get the color back. Do we think he needs anything else? I think the color needs to be a little better. So let's keep going on that. A little, just like some points around here, right, that I think they could be a little darker. It's really frightening to open yourself up to people, to fully enliven, maybe not a word, to fully live out and become someone else in the process of fantasy and roleplay. Probably am going to edit this out. I gotta stop talking. Let me pause this for a second. If I don't stop myself, or if people don't stop me, I will ramble. And I tell everybody I meet that because it's true, I think. RPGs are hard, and they're frightening. And it's probably not very lucrative as far as things go. And there aren't a lot of ways in which a person has avenues towards their creation. You know, it seems, from my personal experience searching the internet, that people break into this as hobby artists first, and then go on to be invited as collaborators for larger companies and larger projects. And so in order to achieve much in this line of work, which again I've heard is not very rewarding at the end of the day financially, or I imagine it's very personally fulfilling and spiritually fulfilling. I find it to be that way. I really like the shading here. I think that's fun. Like the little shadows. That's very nice. I'm not very good with these tools, so part of this is me learning on the fly as well. And I want to do his tail a little pink color, so let's get that pink color too. What was I saying? About a year ago, 9-ish months ago, I decided I wanted to make an RPG of my own. And I set my expectations and my goals fairly high. I would like to think that they were relatively constrained at the same time. I don't think I went overboard necessarily. But I will freely admit that, you know, starting an RPG development that had the expectation of a complex combat system and tighten this up a little, a wide coterie of classes and all manner of interesting rules interactions that was simultaneously relatively simple and very customizable. That's a lot of things, right? Like that's a lot of little buckets to fill with my lack of knowledge and expertise. So, you know, I feel like I wanted that to be a different color. It's nice having it be kind of empty. You know, would this be silly? Let's try this. So let's get this up. Yeah. Is that weird? Is that weird? Oh man, it's a little weird. Let's not do that. Maybe later. Maybe for a different rat. He's pretty cute. I want to keep him cute. Let's give him some nice like little blue, little baby. Well, they have red eyes. Let's do red. How about like we'll go pretty saturated, and then we will just like wash it out with the other tools. So obviously that was a pretty large expectation to set for myself, right? I set the goals pretty high, or the bar pretty high. But you know, I think I was making pretty good progress. I set up on, the various social media websites, Patreon, Twitter, stuff like that. You can see the links down below. And I was making good headway for my birthday. My friends very graciously decided to sit down and make characters and play the game with me, and we had a good time. I think it's a very fun setting, I think, and has a lot of like personal investment in it. A very basic premise is that the game Starsea is about adventurers, you know, people who are out on the fringes of a fledgling government in space. Um, but the setting is unique in the sense that this sci-fi government, this interesting entity, and all of their space exploration is conducted through sorcery and magery, and um, much of that progress that they've made uh, has recently suffered a pretty serious calamity and has stopped working. So it's very silly and it's very fun, and it's, I think, a little novel, uh, science fantasy shenanigans, right? Um, and I'm really happy with it. I still am, and I do want to go back to it. But about 4 months ago, I sustained a pretty serious injury in my right hand, and I had to have um, really significant invasive surgery. And I kind of just I stopped, you know. And it was a really grueling and upsetting thing to happen. My right hand was completely inaccessible to me. My handwriting um, uh, with my left hand was pretty terrible. Um, I'm going to add a little detail layer. We'll do some details. I think the red is okay. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I want to see if we can get some details in here that will make him a little nicer looking. Maybe let's give him some squiggly fur. Ooh, that's the wrong color. So I had this really nasty, terrible thing happen to me, right? And luckily, I'm much better now. Shout out to my doctor and my PT. Love you guys. Let's get a little zoom out. That's pretty cute. I think that's pretty cute. That's first rat down. If I can get to 3 by the time this video's up, it's not likely because I'm already at 20 minutes. Maybe we'll go for a 30-minute video. That seems like a lot, but maybe that's good. No, let's just do those ones. I think this first guy's good. Let's move on. I took on that injury and that surgery, and I stopped working on my game Starsea, and I felt like such a failure. I felt like I was letting myself down, like I was letting my dream down. And the few people who follow me on the various social media websites that I was using to promote and update content, and it's like these were strangers, a couple of them I knew, and I'm very grateful to them. But there were people who completely out of the blue followed me, and I posted no explanation. That felt like a betrayal of myself and them, and also that honesty that I've pursued throughout my life. And I took it pretty hard, like that. It was a difficult time, and it still is, but it's I think time to come out of it. I always wanted to, and right before I got injured, I was in the process of recording videos talking about Starsea and my experiences and all of these things. I still have the files, and nothing came of it. So I wanted to get back in the saddle and be true to the person I wished I had been, or wish I had had the time to be. And I still do, right? This is not, I don't mean to be morbid. I want to be truthful. I want to be truthful. So Starseed, I want to go back to. It's hard to get back in the saddle. Um, there's a lot of things that go into coming out of a. Let's make sure I'm on the right layer. What layer is this? Okay. There's a lot that goes into the recovery process. I regained use of my hand, limited in limited fashion. Um, and over the process, I felt that shame and that regret and all of those big heavy emotions. Let's make this guy kind of funny looking. Maybe a little less butt cheeky. Maybe we'll give him like a little pouch right here. Is that weird? Let's thin the brush down a little bit like that, and then make him kind of lean. Maybe bulge out here. No, it's a little too much. Maybe let's erase this guy. So while I was incapacitated, I had this desire, this urge, if you will, to let's give him big ears. Oh yeah, Toronto, Stilton, who, and then big eyes. Yeah, he's kind of ugly. That's okay. Sorry, guy. I don't mean to make you feel bad. Big teeth. Oh yeah, there we go. Big teeth. He's really stupid looking. Make him nice and. Oh man, this is weird looking. How about that? Yeah, there we go. That's good shit. I probably shouldn't swear. I'm sorry. I'm a failure. Anyway, as I was saying, I had while I was in recovery, all of these emotions, all of these feelings about who I was, and running out of time, and I think things that people my age feel when they're not used to these tools. So again, you see me doing silly things. If you're an artist and you're like, why is this guy so bad? That's why. That's because I am bad. I'm not ashamed of it. That's ugly. I wanted to make a game that I could play, and still feel like I was making progress, and have fun with, all basic things, right? Let's give him kind of longish arms. Yeah. Oh, what a work of art. This guy might be my magnum opus. So I set Starsea aside, as I had already, and I set about making a game that was intentionally as simple as possible. That game is called Rat Quest, and it is, as the name implies, about rats. And if you look closely, these things that are on your screen, well, you get the idea. What colors should this guy be? Let's do gray. We're doing very conventional rat colors. Let's go for a nice. He's kind of chopped, so we'll give him a nice gray. We'll give him like nice fur too, so he's a little happier. Yeah, this is cute. Rat Quest is intentionally as simple of a system as I could get, without being, super, not restrictive but open ended. The game has dice. It has a big rat who makes all the rules, as the people are wont to say. Um, it has um, stats, or as people call them, rats, or rattributes. That's a pretty good one. Um, it has a fairly evocative setting, I think. Um, Items and interaction and intrigue and magic and all sorts of crazy things. Um, where's my mouse? Hello? I need the pink. So with all of that, I've I've found myself in a position where I'm like, RatQuest is kind of done. Like we played it, and we had a good time. Um, and I figured, hey, all of those expectations that I put on myself for Starsea, and um, all of that joy that I felt uh, making Starsea, what if I could transfer that to this thing that I have that is, maybe in a little bit of a better place, right? Where it's a little closer to the finish line. And I thought that, hey, me, that's not such a bad idea. And I thought to myself, hey, thanks, me. You're a cool guy. And that's where the dialogue stopped, unfortunately. The other me didn't get back. That was stupid. So this whole thing came about in a series of interesting ways, or through a series of strange events. I wanted to make a game, and I wanted it to be honest. And to me, as a person, and about the process of this experience from an outside perspective, right? Like, what would a total newbie who has never been published, has never written anything of note, or never worked for any company, how would they come into this space and find success, and what, if anything, would that success look like? So that was my goal, make something. Make something and talk about it. And so here we are. That's not a very well thought out or well constructed presentation, but it's true. Like this, I am very new to this, and I am, I think, probably a little bad at it. But I wanted to talk about me and games and what the process is like. Yeah. And I wanted to do it in a way that was authentic to someone who is inexperienced and a little silly. I will say, I want to finish this rap before we finish the video, but everything I'm doing is either handwritten, typed on a Google Doc, or is hand drawn. This tablet I got, this drawing tablet, I found for $30 at a thrift store, which I'm very grateful for. If I didn't find this, I would be publishing RatQuest in whatever capacity it gets published in, on a with literal pencil drawings. You can go into my various links and websites and see that that's my process. So this is a new tool for me, and I'm very fortunate to have found it in the capacity that I did. I want this to be, I want them to have that sort of like wavy, squiggly fur that some of the rats get. I wonder if that can be best served like that. That's kind of cute, right? Let's do that. So I'm uploading this to kind of force myself to undertake this process and continue to be as authentic as possible. Maybe a little too many squiggles. Let's get rid of this one. We can do a little better. Squiggly. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay, I guess. So, did not get to finish 3 rats. I thought I was going to be able to do 5. I probably will edit future videos maybe a little more. We'll see. Let's go for tooth colored. Sorry, guy. You need to go to a rat dentist. And in the future, I will likely be explaining what RatQuest is a little more and talk through the what the publication process is like. I imagine I will be self-publishing on a website like itch.io, something like that. Would it be crazy if I did this? Would it be? Yeah, I don't know. That's weird. Let's just do black. Black is fine. We'll go for this, and then we'll wash it out a little bit, so it's a little. We still got the nice exterior. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's good. So here we are. Here are 2 rats. I did not get to do 3, but these guys are going to be the RatQuest rats. In the next video, I'm likely to talk about. It's probably going to be another rant, another ramble. I will endeavor to have a more coherent script. But we're going to be talking about what RatQuest is, resolution mechanics and things like that. This is likely going to be a series of just personal thoughts and personal record. As the game gets more real and more fleshed out, I'll have hopefully more and more interesting things to share. But yeah, I guess thank you for watching. If you do watch this, hopefully I'll wake up to 10 billion views or something stupid. But if you like rats or silly things, hopefully I can see you in the stars, something like that. That was silly, and I gotta work on everything. You know, I gotta figure my shit out. Bye.